I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So now to the agenda. There is one motion that I would like to have tabled if the council would so do it. It's under L5 in order for a little bit more research to be done on that appointment. So, yeah. Boots with the first and Spear with the second.
McNeil?
Yes.
Boots? Yes. Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
All right, so that has been tabled, and now with that, is there a motion to approve this agenda?
So moved.
Anderson with the first,
Second.
and Leeper with the second.
Boots?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
McNeil?
Okay, so that has been approved. So now to the unscheduled communications. If there's anybody who'd like to address the city council, you make your way to the podium, or state your name and address from where you're seated.
Mary Swan, 11 Plum Street, Tipton. I'll be real brief. This is something that's just getting worse by the year, and I'm guessing not many on the council even know about it. I'm up on the north end of Plum Street, and Dean, I don't think Pam was on the council, but Dean will remember, they took out the entire street.
Yes.
11 or 12 years ago. I can't even imagine what that cost. We have farm equipment, huge farm equipment, running up and down Plum Street, and it's the worst I've ever seen it this year. It is just horrific. Huge farm equipment and semi after semi after semi. Did you know about that, Brett?
Oh, well, I mean, I see farm equipment.
Yeah.
We go by the school on 7th Street.
Okay, so then and that 7th Street and 130 is a truck route, right?
Mm-hmm.
What they do is run up Plum and go off the north end of Plum onto the gravel, but they have a way out, so there's no reason that they have to use Plum Street. And my concern is that it's going to tear up the street again real soon. Plus the fact that those people, as far as I know, don't live in town, and they're not paying city taxes, but they're destroying the streets. So it's a huge concern.
Yep. Thank you for that. Seeing as that no one is made their way to the podium, we will move on to the consent agenda, which can be enacted by one motion, and that includes the council minutes from May 1st, May 3rd, April treasurers and investment report, and also liquor license renewal for the Cedar County VFW, and also the liquor license renewal for the outdoor service at the Cedar County VFW.
Here, I just had a couple of things from Amy in the second to the last page of the minutes. It's the second to last paragraph. It just says it's review, small type. And on the financials, is that good too?
Yes,
Yeah.
treasurer's investment.
I see that we're 83% through the year, and Central Garage is 109% on expenditures. I'm guessing that's from the figure Gary going through. Is that Central Garage?
Yeah, but that isn't probably reflected there. I think part of that is the extensive repair work that we've done over the years and for parts. Now we're way over on parts. But that, again, that goes back, against that piece of equipment. So it's a.
Well, that's what I wondered. If it were like the Digger Derrick that did that, you'll get that from payback on the electric company, right? That'll reconcile that.
Right.
Okay.
We're pretty much on target with, that whole thing.
That's like a
All right. With that, with those questions and that small adjustment, is there a motion to pass this?
So moved.
Spear with the first, and McNeil with the second.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
Boots?
yes.
All right, so there we go down to the public hearing, which is the consideration of an amendment for fiscal year 16-17 of the budget. Mr. Long?
I should defer to Melissa.
In the amendment, there was just adjustments made for additional revenues or grants, donations that were received, as well as expenditures, and then the equipment purchases.
Oh, wait, sorry, yeah, we have to open that public hearing. Sorry. Is there a motion to open the public hearing? Boots with the first,
Second.
and Spear with the second.
McNeil? Boots?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes. Okay, sorry for that interruption.
It might be very similar. So the adjustments included additional revenues, grants, any donations, and then the major equipment purchases from the electric department, ambulance, and department.
Is there any
Is
questions?
what the 800,000 transfer in?
That was for the CAT engine. It was just moved
Moved
to
from,
the
okay,
From reserve.
capital.
okay.
Brian, I have a question.
All right, yeah.
That was the big item in the 800,000. And you said you had some grants, some additional money coming in, some additional money going out. On everything else other than that 800,000, what would that come out to, a plus or a minus? Did it rebalance out on that?
Yes, there was definitely increased revenue coming in, so that was all just accounted for within that and then adjusted, counterbalanced into the expenditure line.
And the 800,000, was that all used on the CAD? All of
It
it?
was placed for that project.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. There we go. Is there a motion to close this public hearing?
So moved.
Boots with the first. Second. And Leeper with the second.
McNeil?
Yes.
Boots?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes. Okay, so now down to the resolutions. The first one, which is a resolution amending and certifying the budget of the city of Tipton for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2017, amendment number 2. Or actually, over to Melissa. Remember that?
Yes.
Yep.
So I read it? Is that, okay. So, first time. Resolution to fix a date for a public hearing on, nope, wrong one. Resolution approving the city of Tipton budget amendment number 2 for fiscal year 2016-2017. Whereas the city of Tipton, Iowa is responsible to approve and certify an annual operating budget, and whereas the city of Tipton, the city council of the city of Tipton, Iowa is required to hold a public hearing on such budget, and whereas the city council of the city of Tipton, Iowa hereby acknowledges the necessity for a budget amendment to stay within the state's requirements, and whereas the city council of the city of Tipton hereby acknowledges the attached budget amendment sheet to be accurate and final. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the city council of the city of Tipton, Iowa, that effective upon receipt of this resolution by the state of Iowa Department of Management and the Cedar County Auditor, that the fiscal year 2016-27 budget amendment number 2 for the city of Tipton be approved.
All right. So would there be a motion to approve this resolution? Or do you need any questions or anything?
I make the motion to approve.
All right, Boots with the first. And Anderson with the second.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
Boots?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All right, so the resolution has been approved. The next one is a resolution to fix the date for a public hearing on a proposal to enter into a sewer revenue loan and disbursement agreement and to borrow money there under a principal not to exceed $300,000.
Mr. Osborne. This is part of the ongoing wastewater and storm sewer improvement project. The city is eligible for a $300,000 loan from the state revolving fund that can be rolled forward into the eventual loan for the actual project. This action is required to permit the city council to move forward and be able to utilize $300,000 we've discussed before for planning and engineering work in preparation for the actual project. So, again, this has been prepared by the city's bond counsel, Dorsey and Whitney, in consultation with us over the past 2 years. And are there any questions about how this gets repaid or from where it is paid? I guess I didn't cover that. This will be ultimately either paid for from the proceeds of the larger loan that will come to you for consideration at some point in the future for the wastewater and stormwater work that we've been discussing here for the last several months. If for some reason the council chose not to approve this, then this would be simply a loan that the state revolving fund paid for on their low interest terms over a period of time that would be established by them. So it's as safe a borrowing as you could do, and it permits you to borrow it at the same amount, the same rates of interest, same terms as the ultimate bond.
So this will be just used for planning and engineering?
Correct. And, the hearing is at the next regular council meeting, June 5 at 5:30.
So this is where just approving the date for the hearing.
That's all that's being approved here.
Is there a motion to approve June 5th as the date for this hearing?
So moved.
Spear with the first and Leeper with the second.
Leeper.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Boots. Yes. Anderson.
Yes.
Spear.
Yes.
All right. Our next one, which is consideration of a resolution of approval of a release of mortgage, a note, and mortgage, and a loan agreement as part of the refinancing of the Tipton Industrial Park property loan. Mr. Leidinger?
Hello, Steve Leidinger, one of your city attorneys in Plenty, Dallas. Spoke with you a number of times about this and related matters. We have before the council a resolution with a number of whereas clauses setting forth the history here and trying to set forth as clearly as possible what's going on here and how one leads into the other. As previously discussed, the council gave me a green light to go ahead and work on a loan agreement with Tedco to refinance over time the bank loan that it's about to close on in order to acquire the last of the property out at the industrial park. Part of that, the bank, the title opinion revealed that there were 2 existing mortgages by the city which need to be released so the bank can have the first priority that it's requiring. So those are on the resolution. And then in order to make up for releasing those, we haven't, I'm sorry, I'll back up a second. The bank also was requesting that the city and Tedco cancel their pre-existing loan agreement because there are some repayment terms in there that conflict with the bank's payment terms. So what I did was I prepared a new note for the city and Tedco for amounts that have already been lent to date, along with the new mortgage that will be filed right after the bank's first mortgage, which will give the city a second mortgage until the bank is paid off, which, pursuant to the loan agreement, will be by the city with this refinancing over a 5-year period. So ultimately, just seeking authority to authorize the mayor to execute the loan agreement, execute the mortgage releases, and then authorizing the city manager or myself to forward on the promissory note and mortgage to Tedco, which only requires their signature. Any questions, concerns?
I'd just like to add that this has been a process that folks from Tedco and city staff and Village Dallas have worked on over the last several months, collaboratively coming to what I think is a much better conclusion, a much cleaner set of understandings. And speaking for myself, I appreciate the way everyone's worked together to come to this set of documents. And I think it'll be a much more predictable situation and allow that rather than another, oh my gosh, we need to call $360,000 moment, there's some predictability plugged into the whole understanding. So from my point of view, it was a good process and everyone pitched in to get to a conclusion.
Any questions? Is there a motion to approve or deny?
I'll move to approve.
Spear with the first to approve this resolution. And McNeil with the second.
McNeil? Boots?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
Okay, and then briefly, just so that we're all on the same page here with things moving rapidly, there's a closing anticipated for tomorrow. So with that authorization in the resolution, I will endeavor to forward the note and mortgage that need to be executed by Tedco to their attorney first thing in the morning. And then I will also email the city manager a copy of the loan agreement for execution with all exhibits attached and the mortgage releases. So we'll keep things moving. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so now down to the motions for approval, which the first one up is the claims list. Is there anything in here that you guys want to pull out to discuss? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve the claims list?
So moved.
Boots with the first, and McNeil with the second.
Boots?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
All right, so is there anybody that wants to pull number 2 off the table? It's been it's the consideration for the amended job description for park grounds maintenance worker.
Take it off the table for discussion.
All right, McNeil with the first to pull it off the table,
Second.
and Leeper with the second.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
Boots?
Yes.
All right, so Mr. McNeil, you have questions on this?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Under the old situation, we were paying with benefits $34,600 a year. That comes to $51 an hour for the 669 hours we were getting. Under the new proposal, I don't know, is that 44,000 included benefits?
Includes benefits.
Okay, we get
No,
18.
Does it? No.
Sorry, I've not looked at the page.
think so. Weren't we asking just to increase it 10,000 for the pay to make it come out right? So that would still be leaving benefits to be paid. Am I correct?
So,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
A little calculation here just to be sure.
Okay.
The proposal was at $18.40 an hour times 1,820 hours a year or a 30-hour week. that multiplies out to $33,488. So there's an additional 10 in benefits.
That includes
health insurance.
benefits.
Yes.
Okay. So it'd be 18, we get 1,820 hours for the 44,820.
Yes.
I'm proposing that we do a temp program for seniors graduating from high school that need a job, want a job, can't find a job. College kids coming home, anybody semi-retired or retired, we can hire 5 individuals, $10 an hour. That's about 900 hours. So times the 5 guys or people we hire as temp, that's 4,500 hours worth of work we can get for the same money. And you can use them for painting, mowing, trimming, cleaning the bathrooms, painting, any.
We still need somebody for spraying.
What's that?
Still need somebody for spraying.
We don't spray at the cemetery, we don't spray at the fire station, we haven't sprayed that I know of.
Pay for it through contracts.
Yeah, the cemetery's got dandelions growing like no other.
That's how it's contracted too, is to spray the park area.
But, well, then decrease it to 4. Use the, instead of a 5th person, use 4, use the 5th person's wages to hire out the spray. You still get way more hours for the money and more work getting done for the little things.
Not that hard to get licensed.
No, it isn't.
I mean, we use
You
temp
need
help to
somebody to
run, we
get
use temp help to
one of
run the
those
street
temporary-
sweeper. We've used them for sucking up leaves, so it can be done.
One of those temporary people could get a license to do the spraying, if that's what would be necessary. It wouldn't take that much. It doesn't take that much.
That's what I propose.
I second it. Sound like a good idea.
We can try to set something up and bring it back to you, but it would be good if there was a motion, if that was.
Motion to move forward with it, I guess.
I'll second the motion.
So, yeah, so we're directing Mr. Long to look into.
Temp help
Yeah.
program. It's been done in a lot bigger communities than ours. A lot more mowing.
Okay. Well, I think I understand the motion.
In the meantime, this motion has to go back, or this, this has to go back onto the table, correct?
Table the old.
Yeah.
Table the old,
Or would it be
we've got
denied at
discussion
this time?
going now on the general subject. I don't think we're in any motion protocol problem for taking a motion now, as you just described, voting, and then putting it back on the table as a separate action.
Okay. So is there, so McNeil had it first, Lieber the second, to direct Mr. Long to look into temp help. And then, take a vote.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Lieber?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
Boots?
Yes.
All right, so then is there a motion to put the original, back onto the table? Number 2.
So moved.
Second.
McNeil with the first and Lieber with the second.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
I'm a little bit confused.
Yeah, I'm too. Can we just deny that motion and then it goes?
Oh,
to
you
the
could,
table
yeah,
today?
sorry.
You could.
Yeah, if that's the way you guys want to go.
Take
You've
it
got
off
to
the
vote.
table.
Okay, so it's still off the table.
It's off the table.
We're still discussing it. If there is a motion to deny number 2, then please make it.
That's the new hire.
Yeah.
An individual.
Yes.
I deny, motion.
Motion to deny that. McNeil with the first,
Second.
and Lieber Weaver with a second.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
Boots?
Yes.
All right, so that one, now we'll move down to number 3, which is the proposal from Cypress Engines. Mr. Tabor?
Before we proceed, can anybody else hear that high-pitched whine?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What is it? Because it's just giving me one bad headache.
It's so we can move the meeting on quicker.
All right, then just say yes. I don't have to say anymore, right? Okay. In front of you, you've got the 2 quotes from Fairbanks, Morse, and you've got the Cypress Engine quote. In previous discussion, we've talked about the difference in price. The Fairbanks quote is like $302,000. I don't have the sheet in front of me because I locked myself out of the building tonight. So, does that sound right, Tim? 302?
Yes, it does. Yeah, mine.
The Fairbanks Morse quote was for $302,177. Now, they didn't take into account doing anything with the turbos, which that's about a $20,000 deal. And there were some other things that were different about the quote too. That I think there was a blower rebuild, or possibly to look it over, and the ring catchers and some other items, and that's why there's about a $51,000 difference in price. Tanya and I have discussed this quite a bit because we have to work with these people. And the person that was here in the fall of last year, that if we would have went with Fairbanks, which was Steve Lang, that's who we would have worked with. That's not going to be the case now. And there's just some other things too that were not included. Part of it too is the vertical drive rebuild. As complete as it was, they were just going to, Fairbanks was just going to take and just replace what was bad, and that was it. I wanted the whole unit completely gone through, everything replaced, and I wanted it done right because I don't want to take this thing apart again. I don't think everything in here wants us to take it apart again. And the difference in the price was $51,000. And like I say, Tanya and I, we discussed this quite a bit amongst ourselves, and we feel a lot more comfortable going with Cypress than we do with Fairbanks Morse. I realize that Fairbanks Morse is the OEM supplier, but they're not supplying the help that I want. And that was one of the big things. Steve Lang has got 30 years, 40 years working on these things. And he's not going to be the one doing the work with us. The gentleman from Cypress, they all used to work for Fairbanks Morse. They know these engines as well as Fairbanks Morse does. And they get discounts on the parts that I don't get. So, but we do have to supply 2 employees with either one of them to work with them and help put the stuff back together. And I know I gave you another copy of the spreadsheet. And if you go down to the very bottom, right now, this is what we're getting for a payment. What's in that whiteout area? That $233,000, $86.14, and that's counting our Louisa allotment. So you can see the 2 engines that are highlighted, which is 5 and 6. Those are the 2 MTUs, and that's what we're getting right now for capacity credits. If you go up to line 2 that I have there, if we do not fix the OB, Fairbanks, with the Louisa allotment, we're at $359,212.14. And like I've said before, that also gives us a shortage. we're about 800 kilowatts short of carrying in the whole town. So I would have to do something to be able to carry the whole town if we were in that need. And that's if we get everything accredited. Like I say, we are going through that process right now. It's going to take 450 days. We've got about 60 days behind us, so we've only got 390 left. So, but then if you go down to number 1 that I have parenthesized, with the Fairbanks back online, we'll get a credit of about $61,740 a year. And that's based off of its past runs and what we were crediting it at before. So in about 6 years, you could have this engine paid for at this rate. So, and then that would give us a total of credits right now of $420,952.14 with our Leviza. So I would just ask for the council to consider approving to rebuild this engine. Part of the money would come out of this year's budget. I have a line item in there that I'd set aside to build a building. It's driving me crazy. Well, $170,000 of that's going to come from the building that I had planned. So we would get that money from this year once we got a PO to order and everything else. And then the rest would come from next year's budget.
What kind of a time, difference are we looking at with Cypress providing the 2 to 3 and Fairbanks just the 1? How much quicker will it be done with Cypress?
Both are actually about the same time always. The biggest problem is getting the parts here. The liners, since we're going to go OEM or liners, those could take 3 to 4 months. But we could get a PO, get it billed, and start moving forward and getting all the rest of the stuff that we need to. So, and they've been in business for, what was it, 20 years, Cypress has. So, and they've got a good reputation.
Well, I recall that there was, and I could be wrong, but I recall there was a difference in staffing provided by Cypress.
Yeah, Cypress was going to supply more help than Fairbanks.
Was it Fairbanks?
Yes.
And we would have to supply the same amount of help with
Irregardless.
Either one.
both of us.
Yep.
I mean, both of those folks.
Floyd, I think in one of your reports I saw that the 2 engines we've sent in to be accredited, that will happen in 2018, is that correct?
The 2.
Haven't we applied to have 2 be accredited that are not currently?
No, the 2, how this works is, how do I explain this? Originally, when the plant, the old plant, was running with the OP, 1, 2, and 3 were used for the accreditation purposes. 5 and 6, John had set aside to use as peak sheet.
Right.
When we had the problem in the plant, I skedaddled and put meters on the 2, 5, and 6 to get them so that we could count on them to use for accreditation purposes. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking the rest of the fleet and I'm getting all the rest of it accredited.
Mm-hmm. But are 5 and 6 accredited?
Yes, they are right now. But they will all be accredited within about 390 days. Provided
The other 3.
The other 3 units.
Yeah, the other 3 units. Because see, like I said, originally 1, 2, and 3 did all the accreditation work in the old plant. Because 5 and 6 were used for peak sheet. I decided that that was an absolute waste of money to have couple of $1 million of equipment sitting over there that were getting us nowhere. And Chris and I talked about it when he was here, he agreed. So what we're doing is we're going to accredit the whole fleet. Now, everything, and then that's where the $427,000 comes from. Because if you look at that very bottom line, 5 and 6, I'm only getting $57,000 a piece for, basically. So it totals up to $233,086.14 when you throw the Wise allotment in there. So what I'm doing is I have to accredit everything. I have to go through these steps with MISO. Does that make sense now?
Well, yeah, but you say now in the next 30 or 60 days, they all will.
390.
No, 390.
Okay, have we been noticed that that will happen?
I'm pretty sure it will, because of all the upgrades that ITC has done to the system and everything else. We all pretty much think there's not going to be a problem. But we got to jump through. We got to satisfy CITCO, MISO, ITC, Mid-American, RPGI. I got to satisfy like 5 people that this isn't going to be a problem, and or 5 organizations, and we don't see any problems. Talking to the engineers, they don't see any problem. They think that all the upgrades that ITC has done to this line from the south to the north, where it ties with CITCO north, that we shouldn't have any issues at all getting everything.
So that would be the ones we have in operation now. So are you saying, like, if we spend the $350,000 to get this up and going, is there a chance that it wouldn't get, I mean, because that's what we want to pay it back with, is the accreditation money.
There's always that chance.
Yeah, I don't like that.
But I don't know. Well, that's the whole thing. But the other thing we got to remember too is that you're 800 kilowatts short. You don't have enough to carry the load of the town. The town's going to get bigger. If the industrial park, if anything takes off out there, all bets are off, because I don't know what's going to build. And if we'd be in a situation where we need to run for a 24-hour period, or possibly 7 days a week, I don't think some people are going to like rolling blackouts. That's just my take on it. And as time goes on, you're going to have that where the system's going to grow.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
The only thing I can see right now is that if we don't spend this money, it could cost us a whole lot more later.
Yeah. And like I've always said, Fairbanks, the company still supports it. They believe in that engine. It's a nearly a 70-year-old design, maybe even 80-year-old design. But they still make it. The Russians copied it. The Chinese copied it. Everybody's copied it. And they're still using them today in U.S. Navy ships. So as far as being able to get stuff for it, I'm not the least bit worried about it. So,
It's a big commodity.
what's that?
It's a big commodity.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Is there a motion to approve or deny the proposal from Cypress?
I would make a motion to approve Cypress.
Boots with the first to approve and Anderson with the second.
Spear,
Yes.
Reaper,
Yes.
McNeil, Boots,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes. All right. Moving on to the next one, which is the amended job description for City Director 4.
Thank you, Mayor. We did get this job description walked through based on interviews with both Steve Nash and Brian Brennan, and in looking at the existing job description. It's been, I think, pretty thoroughly vetted, and generally, I think everyone, in terms of management staff, are happy with it. The one thing that we did not get done last week was find good comparables. I started out with this looking for a practice that dates back a while, 10 years to my knowledge, where a city employee who gets a certification would get a bump of anywhere from 12 to 50 cents an hour, depending on the nature of the certification and where you were. I discovered in reviews last week that that's all over the map now, and more reliable places are shifting simply to the job is worth this amount. So it's not as simple as saying it's 12 cents or 25 cents. So rather than sort of come off half-baked, I'd like to not take action so we have time to review this one more time and make sure we've got good numbers before we bring it back to you. But I leave it to you for that consideration. And if there's any questions about the specifics of the job description, obviously we'd be comfortable talking about that.
So right now, the hang-up is that the comparables to other towns are not
They're not
clear.
consistent or clear.
Okay. So if anybody wants to tackle this right now, or if you want to table it so we can get a little bit more
Well, it
definition.
sounds to me like if there's, the comparables are all over the board, then we have probably the freedom to set something, don't we?
We could. I am not comfortable in taking a stab at that. But that's something I wouldn't bring to you. I mean, certainly you're within your ability to make some kind of decision on your own, but
So if
that,
we table this, then you come back with the next meeting with comparables.
yes.
What kind of differentiation are we looking at? How much?
Dollars per hour.
Yeah, I mean, from $3 an hour or from $17.50 an hour?
From- In terms of the current salary, anywhere from 25 cents to $5. That is a spread that I'm not comfortable with what I know right now.
Did we visit with Nicole at all on this?
I'm sorry, with who?
Nicole?
No, I have not.
I think she would be a good source,
We
probably.
can certainly check with her.
One other question I have, if we keep putting this off, is there gonna be back pay involved?
That's a consideration that you could make.
Well, it should be.
That's a consideration that you can make.
Farther out we go,
This
Yes.
individual spent the time and their efforts to get this certification, then they should be compensated for it from the time they got their compensation, if they got the certification.
But we can certainly calculate that as part of the overall.
That should be back pay and brought forward. No matter what it is.
That
They got their
would
certification.
generally appreciated by
They
staff.
spent their time to get it, so.
Yep.
I would make the motion to table this, but I would like to have definite figures the next meeting so we can get this taken care of. It's been too
Yes,
long.
ma'am.
Yeah.
We'll review it with the new city manager as well tomorrow.
All right, Boots with the first to table and Leaper with the second.
Leaper,
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Boots.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Spear.
Yes.
All right, so that's been tabled. Now we go down to number 6, which is the request to close the Park Road for the 4th of July events.
This is pretty simple. It's like it was last year. So at the Aquatic Center at the top of the hill, we closed the road at the top to the first driveway west of the Aquatic Center, and that was to keep the pedestrians safe. And so I am requesting that we do that again this year. Just trying to get it done early. Because we got a lot of stuff that's going on that day. So that is my request.
All right, is there a motion to approve this request?
So moved.
Spear with the first and Leaper with the second.
Boots.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Spear.
Yes.
Leaper.
Yes.
McNeil.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Now to number 7, which is the power and capacity marketing agreement with Mid-American.
If you remember last year, you had some marketing agreement with Mid-American. That is just, I wish I didn't lock myself out of the building. what this does is it allows tagging service, which they do for us on the market for Louisa. You know, as long as we have our share of ownership in Louisa, and the tagging service has to be done within the footprint of MISA. And that's basically what this does. They charge, I think it's $400 a month to do that. Does that sound right, Mimi?
Yeah,
Okay. And we've done this, they've done this ever since they bought Louisa, or bought into Louisa, so.
All right. Is there a motion to approve this?
Is this done yearly? Like-
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Weaver with the first. Neal with the second.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
All right, so now to number 8, which is 1% increase to utility and energy prices. As contraposed to consideration of the Latham Associates Energy Rates Analysis.
You want to handle this one, Tim, or do you
Sure.
want me to?
This, you may recall that last year, we engaged Latham Associates to do a thorough review of rates and both commercial and residential. And there are some minor changes that affect users that for some, for residential users, the effect is nil. For commercial, it's more in its favor because commercial users are higher volume users, and so their base cost per unit is going to be less. And the whole structure, which is in your packet, looks different than simply plugging the 1% increase onto everyone's rates across the board. It's my recommendation that you not look at just simply adding 1%, but rather implement a more comprehensive study and analysis. And we did provide examples of the impact for several classes of consumers. So this is essentially asking you to let us bring back to you for rate adjustment for the Latham study, and to not implement the 1% across the board study or increase right now.
So just making sure, if we approve this, we're not approving that 1% to go into effect.
Correct. We are not approving that, and we will bring back to you the Latham study for implementation. That's an ordinance amendment, and we'll have it written up as such.
So is that going to take the 1% off the books, or is this just a one-year thing?
1% will not be added to the current rate structure at all. That the current rate structure that we have in place and have had for the last 2 years remains the same until the Latham study would be brought to you and amended at that point.
Given the way that I understand this, more on left, the 1% order, or the 1% increase, I believe, is written as an ordinance, if I remember correctly.
Right.
And automatic.
Right, and if they don't do anything with it, it automatically goes into effect.
Thank you.
So,
This is asking not to apply that.
yeah, this is asking not to apply that, and then hopefully,
Suspend the ordinance.
well, I wouldn't suspend the ordinance yet. We need to talk about that, how we want to handle that here in the future. I mean, Tipton does what I wish every utility did, but some of them want to sit back and say, no, let's just take it easy, and they'll wait 6, 8, and before you know it, 10 years have gotten away, and then, oh my God, we need to raise rates 20%. You know, I'm not saying that's what you're going to have to do, but that's what happens. We need to probably talk about that a little bit more before we do that and take it away. But it's something good to bring up and talk about.
Well, if this is an ordinance form,
I believe
then it's 1% every year for some set number of years, then we'll have to bring back an ordinance amendment to change that.
Yeah, I mean, we like I say, we probably ought to talk about that and then look.
We'll have 3 readings of it.
When does it, When does the 1% kick in, at the beginning of
June
the fiscal?
1.
June, yeah.
Or, sorry,
July
July
1.
1.
Didn't you always do that in the past, but it took effect if you didn't vote to not have it take effect? So you basically need to vote not to have the 1% happen or what happens.
Yeah, there has to be a motion to not apply the 1%.
Okay, so that's what the ordinance is written. Sorry, I don't know.
I was thinking that's how we did it last year, was it to not apply the 1%. So,
I would make that motion.
To not apply the 1%? Okay.
Yes.
So Boots with the first and Leeper with the second to not apply the 1%.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Boots.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes. All right, and then we'll get those rates for you, Floyd, for the next meeting?
yeah, we'll
We'll write an ordinance amendment.
yeah, and then we'll get with Brian and explain, get him all up to speed too. Because you won't be here, will you, Tim?
Yeah, the other Brian.
Yeah, Brian.
All right, so then moving on to the next one, which is continuing a working relationship with SEDCO. Councilmember Boots, do you want to take the lead on this?
Yes,
Okay.
SEDCO met last week. They need to determine who's gonna be on board with them, because it could drastically change their budget. I've given you all a sheet that shows the percentages right now that every city is at. We have a significant amount at 8.2%. Everyone else is, other than the county, is under that. They said that our contribution would not go up this year. So they would leave us at the 8.2 of whatever they determine. They're not gonna make us make up
Are you saying the percentage or the actual dollar amount?
percentage. They're not gonna make us make up the percentage. Whoever stays in it, make up the percentage of the cities that have dropped out. I think that was one of the fears, is, okay, are we gonna have to pay more for this? They're saying at this point in time, no. That's why they need to know yes or no from us, because they're going to have to figure out what kind of a budget they can have. The options, right now, Clarence and Mechanicsville are staying in. West Branch is on the fence. They are voting tonight on it. And I can't remember where Bennett is at with that, but Durant, Loudon, and Stanwood are out. They're not gonna continue with it.
I didn't think Bennett was even in.
Bennett
anymore.
started coming, so that's
Oh,
why I
they're
don't
back
know.
in.
He wasn't there with this meeting, so I'm not sure where they're at. But, if not enough of the cities are gonna stay with it, then the paper I give you is how the termination would go. It would go according to the funds that are left, and right now it looks like they give us about 230 some is what was the end of March. So obviously they're gonna have payments that come out of that, so it's gonna be a little bit less than that by the time they get the dissolution done. They're anticipating a couple months if that happens. They'll probably take 2 months to get all the paperwork and all the bills paid and all the office stuff taken care of. So the other thing that we did find out at the meeting, they're not only not a partner with ISU who paid 20%, they are also not able to rent or stay in the extension office for free. The extension would like to utilize the office for all their needs. Jeff Kaufman did tell us that there's a potential for Cedar County to get some office space that they won't be charged for. And if that happens, then SEDCO could go into that space. So I'm not sure, I think it was this week that committee was gonna meet, and so they might know more there. So a lot of things up in the air, but they just need us to decide, are we gonna stay, are we gonna go? So I would welcome discussion from anyone.
The biggest benefits that you see of being part of SEDCO?
I think that, I've only been on it a short time, so I don't know a lot of what has been done in the past. But I did see utilized more probably for cities maintaining their current populations and businesses rather than Cedar County growing industry at this point in time. But I also fear that if we don't have that SEDCO and somebody is interested in Cedar County, who sells it to them? I don't know I don't have an answer to that.
Well, some years ago, our contribution was $7,000 a year. And I honestly think that we could do better by just utilizing that money within our own economic group here in town to promote Tipton more efficiently.
Yeah, I feel like we have a benefit for us because we do have TEDCO. Some of the other communities do not have their own city organization, and that kind of leaves them out there.
Mr. McNeil, any thoughts? No. All right. Well then, I will ask for a motion then to deny a continuing working relationship or approve the continuing working relationship with SEDCO.
I'll make that motion.
To deny or to deny. So, Mr. Anderson has
Got a question on that.
Oh, yes.
Go to
Mr.
discussion.
Millar.
So I just want to, my name's Tim Millat. I live at 103 Elizabeth Drive, Tipton, Iowa. I would like to know that, would it be willing for the city to stay on one more year? The county representatives attended a meeting Tuesday in Ames, and that meeting was to put an expansion on 30 from, as you can see right now, the construction started to bring into Charles. That was to bring the expansion of 30 from Charles to 38 in Stanwood, which would bring commuting closer to Tipton. It's not to Tipton, and yes, we're 10 miles off the beaten path, but you're talking about bringing a 4-lane road halfway through the county, which could have the county as a whole talking to bring more economic development. There is a meeting Wednesday night of this week to talk about making I-86 lanes through the whole county of Cedar, which would also make it a little bit more appealing to bring businesses. You're increasing the two major corridors of transportation and bringing it closer to Tipton. And yes, we are in the center between the two, and there's a 10 to 8 miles each direction, which does hurt us, but it does get us a little bit better. And although I kind of agree with why are we putting money into this, there's potential some things really could happen in the next year or two, if approved, that would make it benefit for this city to stay in and this county to stay in economic development. So, I mean, with that information, I'm not sure you were aware of those pieces of information. I think that it's something you should think about for at least a year or two.
Okay, well, with that,
Is there a motion on?
Yes.
There's a motion
Okay.
to deny.
To deny. So then, is there a second?
I guess if we're still discussing. You know, I think, did you mention there's at least 2 meetings going to be happening shortly?
One just happened, and this one's happening this week.
And then with West Branch voting tonight, and with maybe the county finding out if they have a room or space for them, maybe we should take a moment to wait and see what shakes out of all that.
If you have a motion on the table.
You're right, I know that. I was just having a discussion.
The icon or died, or.
So,
I will tell you that they're needing to know sooner than later, and the reason is we have 2 people that come June 30th could possibly be unemployed. So, if that's up in the air, them not knowing, you know, they could be looking for something else, and we could lose that possibility. So, that's something else to think about.
rescind your motion.
No, we can just let it die.
Let it die.
Okay, do you know if they would be willing to let it go another 2 weeks so we can find out with meetings and West Branch and all that?
They, we kind of did that the last meeting, when we talked about it, we didn't make a decision, and when we were at the meeting last week, they said, we need to hear from the city, yes or no.
Okay.
Well, it's one more year.
Well, one more year takes away probably all the bank money that would go back to, I mean, you would just lose that refund money. And I don't know what that, our share would even be for that, but.
$15,000-$20,000.
Yeah, 15 or 20.
So, Mr. McNeil, is that a motion to stay in it for one more year? All right, McNeil with the first.
And his motion is?
To stay in Sedco for one more year. And of course, that's, for everybody else. Well, hold on, let me ask. Would that be contingent, like, if we're the only people in Sedco, are we bound to fund the whole thing then?
No,
Oh,
no,
just
they're
8.2.
going to leave our percentage as is, so that means our dollar amount is the same as what we're paying in the past.
Okay.
They're not gonna make us make up the difference. They just have to adjust their budget accordingly.
Okay. So Mr. McNeil has made a motion to stay in Sedco for one more year.
I'll second it.
And Boots with the second.
Leeper.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Boots.
Yes.
Anderson.
No.
Spear.
I'll go one more year. Yes.
All right, then moving on to number 10, which is the approval of garbage exemption on 307 West 2nd. Should be in your packet. Is there any questions? This would reduce it to that base charge. Correct, Mr. Long?
Correct, and remind me, Amy, this is this person's only account, he does not have
He doesn't
a
have-
second account, so it doesn't, in that fashion, the reduction would not apply to this person.
But that's something that
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying we only make the reduction if they have more than one
More than
property?
one, yeah, more than one account, this fellow has just one.
So yes, according to code, in order to be eligible for the reduction, you have to have more than two sites with garbage.
Right.
So, is there a motion to approve or deny this? This is by code.
Under our code, got it.
There you go.
That's
All right, McNeil with the first to deny this. Because of the code, that says we have to.
Second.
Lieber with the second.
McNeil.
Yes.
Boots.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Spear.
Yes.
Leeper.
Yes.
All right, so and then moving on to the reports, there motion to receive and file the Community Development Board Director's report. Boots with the first.
Second.
And McNeil with the second.
Boots.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yeah.
Spear.
Yes.
Leeper.
Yes.
McNeil.
All right, so now to the discussion items. There will be no action. This one was brought back from our last agenda, Clarence telephone update. Mark from Clarence Telephone will make his way to the podium, give us an update.
Yes, I'm Mark Harvey with Clarence Telephone Company and Cedar Communications. As the mayor said, we had a discussion earlier, I guess it was last month now, about some of the services for the city of Tipton, but also that discussion led into some of the plans that Cedar Communications and or Clarence Telephone Company have for the city of Tipton. We are currently getting ready to construct some fiber into town to take out 7th or 130 out to a cell site to provide services to that cell site. With that, we'll be burying a large enough duct in fiber to eventually serve the city of Tipton. We're getting ready to start the survey process of homes and businesses to see what spot we'll start in first. if everything goes as we like, we do plan on doing it in stages. Of course, it depends on take rate of services from customers throughout the town, but we will be bringing fiber up to the city hall and to all through parts of town. So I'm happy to answer more questions and anything else for any council may have.
If all your surveys turn out the way you hope they do, how long would the process be?
We'd like to start, well, with weather, it's been holding us up so far this year. We'd like to start and have some construction done in town to residential and business besides the construction we're getting ready to start before fall. So before the ground freezes, we have some in and have some above ground work to do. So we'd love to have homes turned up and working, homes and businesses well before the end of the year.
If I may, in terms of available speed, how is this going to relate to copper?
Hands down.
Okay.
And that's a little bit of a loaded question. I don't want to get too far into the weeds, but copper speeds depend on length, age of copper and length. But we'll be able to provide up to, if wanted, a gig of bandwidth to homes without that, or to a business. Usually that's a business rate, but if a business or a homeowner wanted a gig's worth of bandwidth, we can provide gigs worth of bandwidth without a problem, and beyond that with equipment turnout.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah, we used to think that 1 meg was plenty, and we never needed more than that. Well, here we are.
All right.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming, Mark. The Latham energy rates. You want to take it?
I'll let you. You don't have a massive headache like I have from whatever that noise is. I'm ready to find it, rip the ceiling down if I have to. Or
Make that tomorrow. Again, we've got a chart in your packet that shows recent electric rates for different kinds of customers, and the Latham analysis, which is I think it's 18 pages of spreadsheet that takes a definitive, close look at expenses, use of energy, cost of energy over time, and comes up with a new schedule that's more based on actual cost of production of electricity. And on the Schedule 12 electric rate comparisons, you can see the changes sort of before and after from the 2015-16 rate structure to what's been proposed. So looking at, again, the Schedule 12, looking at the very first one at the top of the page, that is a relatively small user, 478 kilowatt hours. That's a modest user of electricity. There are probably folks in this room that use about that much. The proposed cost annually is $731.88, which is actually $16.65 less than the current rate structure. Moving down at a larger residential customer, someone using 1,500 kilowatt hours, that might be a small family. The current annual cost of electricity is $2,195. Under the proposal, it drops slightly to $1,976 overall. And then we looked at a real anomaly, someone who's only using 325 kilowatt hours. This is a real minimal bill. Currently, that person would have an annual bill of $532. Because the base is being increased, the base rate is being increased from the current $6 to $12.50. Those folks would actually see a $13.64 increase over a year's time. and that's just an anomaly that has to do with the fact that we're building a proposed base rate of $12.50 that is always paid. Then the commercial customer at 1,800 kilowatt hours, those folks have a somewhat larger reduction. Again, making a lot of assumptions about the kind of customer. If they're not a real peaky user of energy and are a steady, have a steady 1,800 kilowatt hour bill, their current annual bill is $2,941. Under the proposed annualized bill, it drops slightly to $2,320. It does provide incentive for the large commercial users to smooth out their load, because if you have a higher use or higher peak use, you're going to pay more for that. And again, I think this is a good and comprehensive analysis, and we'll bring this back to you next month for active consideration. If you have questions like about a specific kind of user, we can run a calculation to see what that looks like.
I guess I'm just curious, if we look at doing this, then are we going to have to address that annual 1%? Or
I would,
we're going to leave that in place?
I would suggest that you look at this comprehensively every couple of years, so you can see what your costs are doing, and also look at what your cost of energy in the whole marketplace are doing, and the effect of your credits that are going back to reduce that cost of energy in the market. That could change things, and to just use a simple percentage is certainly, as Floyd said, better than doing nothing. But I think it's more responsible to look at your costs and your revenue stream more comprehensively year to year. That's all I have.
All right, then moving to number 3, which is the electric generation and distribution.
What I plan on doing on the 24th is it's a chance to interact with the public and explain to them how the electric system works. And why, because we own all these generators, I can't get power to their house. I mean, it's a good question, because a lot of people have called, well, you've got the generators, just start them up. Well, sometimes it's not that simple, because there's lines down or something else has happened that we can't control. But it's a chance to also explain, like Tim was saying just now, what's the difference between usage and demand? Just a quick one on that is like one light bulb's usage. 100 light bulbs that are all 100 watt, that's demand. And it's explaining that to people in a way that they can understand it. And it'll also give people an insight about why sometimes it takes so long to fix something. I plan on maybe talking for an hour with the public, and the council's more than welcome to come too. We'll just make a statement that you all show up, that we are not here to conduct any business, and I think that suffices, doesn't it, Tim?
As long as we don't talk to each other.
As long as we don't talk to each other.
Well, in groups of more than 2.
Yeah.
So, I mean, typically, when I did it in Villisca, that's what I did. Stood up. We are not here to conduct any utility business or anything like that. This is just a discussion and explain some things. So, but like I say, you're all invited. I'd like to see you.
All right.
It has to be on the 24th at 5:30. So, okay, thank you.
Thanks, Lauren. And flower pots for downtown. Linda Beck.
Sorry, it is not a very good picture. It does not do any justice, but I'm going to let you see them anyway. They are ready. They are ready, and I think tomorrow morning, Steve and his guys, we're going to get them downtown. There are 8 flower pots, and I talked also to Dean. And so with the destruction of our clay pots, which were deteriorating anyway, these are made of cement. it's colored cement and it's been sealed. So, and I guess we can thank Dan and Tamara Roberts. They were instrumental in this, and I really don't think we probably could have afforded this had it not been for that. So, hopefully tomorrow we'll see them downtown.
All right, thank you much.
Thank you.
Now on to the reports. Just a reminder, school is out in 9 school days. So
But who's counting?
exactly. So there'll be a lot more kids out and about. So just keep an eye out for that. That's all that I have. Council.
I had a visitor yesterday, and we talked about the bike ride. And if you know any kids that don't have a bicycle, please contact Larry Hodgson and let him know. And if you have a bicycle that you have no more use for, let him know that also. We're trying to work on a plan where every kid in town that wants a bicycle can have a bicycle. It's something that some of these little kids on the bike ride, I understand, have never had a bicycle. One little boy didn't even know how to ride a bicycle in the 3rd grade. And that's to me, that's a tragedy. My wife and I never had any kids, but we'll spoil anybody's kid wrong. And then send them home to mom and dad. But I used to have a bike shop here in town years ago, and I still have I have most of the tools that I had, and I'm going to donate those. So we're trying to get a place where if a kid has a problem with their bicycle, they can come get it done for free. And they may have to pay $1 for a new tire, or 50 cents for a tube, whatever. But if people will donate to that and get, Larry has more knowledge on it than I do, but it's just something that, let's take care of our kids in town.
All right.
They're the future.
Yes, they are.
And let's make them happy. If they're happy, then we can be happy too.
All right, thank you, Mr. Leeper. Moving on to committee reports. City managers report.
Nothing to add, Mayor.
All right, and then to department heads. Chief, fireworks.
Getting things. Waterloo and Cedar Falls are tonight also deciding what they're going to do with their fireworks.
The ordinance, right?
Ordinances, yeah. Also, real quick, on the bike thing, we had our bike rodeo Friday. I think we had 75 kids. I want to thank Larry Hodgson for coming. He brought bikes for some of the kids that didn't have bikes. All the kids received, in 3rd grade, received a free helmet. We work with State Farm. State Farm helps us write a grant to Walmart. Walmart donates money, and that's what we buy our helmets for all the kids. So it was a great success. We've done it now since 2008. So it's a great program. I agree with Ross. In your packet, you should have stuff about the fireworks. Is Senate File 489, which now makes it legal starting June 1st to sell fireworks in Iowa. That doesn't mean you have to allow them to go off in town. So you guys have an ordinance. The city of Tipton has an ordinance. I believe I included that in your packet. 41.414. So no fireworks are supposed to be let off in town unless you have a permit and you have to have so much personal injury, property damage, and total exposure insurance. If you are letting them off, that's kind of like when the fire department does it, or the rodeo does that, or bigger cities have like baseball games that let off fireworks. So I want you guys to know about this because people are going to be wanting to light fireworks in about a month. This allows, what is it here, from June 1st until July 8th, people can sell fireworks. And December 10th to January 3rd. I don't believe the city of Tipton has a permit or the outline for permits for fireworks unless it's one just for the fire department. You guys need to decide what you want to do with that. Do you want to allow limited fireworks use. Some cities allow fireworks to be set off from, July 3rd to July 5th, and then December 30th to January 2nd. Right now, we're going to be going on the fireworks ban that we've always had, but I know the public is going to think that fireworks are going to be a free-for-all. So, trying to get ahead of the ball here.
And the other thing that you and I discussed was we need to come up with ordinances on where they can sell, what the structures look like, so they can sell in.
Two options. You can have the brick and mortar fireworks sales. I think police, or not police too, but people, cities like those a little bit better. It brings some rent into the towns. It's only from June 1st to July 8th and December 10th to January 3rd. But you've got a couple months, 2 times a year, where they can actually rent a building. Or do you want the tent people coming from Missouri, Wisconsin, wherever they can sell fireworks, and setting up a tent? Whoever will give them space in their yard, are they going to have adequate fire extinguishers? Are they going to have adequate water? Whatever, what do you guys want to have? Brick and mortar, tents, nothing? You can, you need to decide that. But this is what Iowa is doing. I've been trying to get information from other cities. They're all in the same boat. What are you doing? What's your policy? What do you have? We have in place no fireworks being lit in Tipton. So now it's up to you guys to decide what do you want to do with it. I will continue to give you the information that I get, and I will go with however you guys need me to go. We need to write up a new ordinance if you're going to allow this in Tipton, because people will probably start coming to City Hall for a permit sooner than later. I don't know if we're going to be timely this year, because June 1st is when it happens away. So that's all I have on fireworks.
But no matter what, if we don't act, the ban for lighting fireworks, that stays there.
It's still there.
Okay.
Yeah, unless they have a permit. And it's my understanding that is in here, with all this insurance, it has to be
Shown proof. Okay.
So,
All right.
I'll just keep collecting data until you guys tell me what to do.
Good, thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
And Steve, alternate cycling pickup schedule.
Okay, just to bring you up to speed, I did get notification that we should have our containers by the 23rd, 4th, 5th, somewhere in there in a couple weeks. So I'll be developing a schedule, hopefully implementing it in June. And it'll be alternate recycling pickup, north side of town 1 week, south side the other week. And I'll get together with Stu, we'll get it in the paper, we'll get it in the bills, we'll get it on the website. I'm sure that it's going to take a month or so before people get used to the new schedule, but I think that regardless of how much information you get out there, that's going to take a little bit of a learning time frame. But I think it's going to be the best thing for the city. Roger informed me that he knows of about 15 places in town that will need a bigger container because every week their container is full. So Roger's a good resource for implementing this as well. Any questions on that? I think it's going to be a real good thing. It's going to cut our time down and
Where's the demarcation line, north and south?
It'll be same as the garbage. It'll be on 7th Street.
7th?
Yeah.
South?
Yeah.
8th is north.
Even on both sides, the south side of 7th is going to, obviously, is going to be on the south side, and just like the garbage, and the north side of 7th will be the north.
All right. Thank you much. Is there a motion to adjourn? Booth with the second and Leaper with the, sorry. Booth with the first and Leaper with the second. Works for me. Anderson? Yeah.
Who's here?
Yes.
Leaper?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
Booth?
This is adjourned.